Amazon encourages employee turnover, which may seem paradoxical but holds true. The company has realized the advantages of constantly replacing its workforce, which explains why it mistreats its employees. Whether it's subjecting warehouse workers to unsafe conditions, forcing drivers to urinate in bottles, or overworking tech staff, Amazon spares no effort in cultivating a dreadful work atmosphere, and it seems their strategy of fostering an unfavorable environment is yielding desired results. Amazon's turnover rate is astonishingly high, monitored on a weekly basis. They witness a staggering 3% loss of warehouse employees each week, resulting in an annual turnover rate of 150%. Essentially, Amazon replenishes its entire warehouse workforce approximately every 8 months. Given the unfavorable working conditions experienced by these workers, this turnover rate is somewhat expected. However, the question remains, why would Amazon actively desire employee resignations? Amazon's misleading pay. When it comes to pushing out blue-collar workers, Amazon's approach is straightforward. They establish an intense and stressful environment with demanding goals and minimal downtime. However, their treatment of tech workers is far more intriguing. Tech professionals command substantial salaries, which forces Amazon to resort to cunning yet repugnant tactics in order to manage costs effectively. One of the most prominent strategies employed by Amazon is manipulating vesting periods to the detriment of its employees. Vesting periods refer to the duration one must wait before being able to access their stock compensation. Typically, tech companies follow a 4-year vesting schedule, evenly distributing stock compensation over those years. However, Amazon deviates from this standard practice. While companies like Facebook follow a vesting schedule where employees receive 25% of their total stock grant each year with 6.25% vesting every quarter, and Google takes it a step further. By front-loading their stock vesting and implementing monthly vesting, Amazon takes a different approach. Amazon backloads their vesting, creating a delay in stock compensation for their engineers. In this system, engineers must wait a full year to have 5% of their stock vest and another full year for 15% to vest. It is only in the 3rd and 4th years that engineers receive 80% of the promised stock compensation. This contrast in vesting practices demonstrate how Amazon differs from other tech companies in managing stock compensation for its employees. While it may not initially appear significant, the difference in vesting practices at Amazon can have a substantial impact, especially for individuals entering the company at a higher senior level. Let's consider a scenario where one has the option to join Google as an L6 or Amazon as an L7, positions that are roughly equivalent. On the surface, both companies offer a similar total compensation of slightly over $500,000, with Amazon seemingly providing an extra $30,000. However, solely focusing on this total figure would be misleading, and here's why. The stock grant figure of $318,000 at Amazon represents an average amount you will receive over the course of 4 years, rather than an annual amount. In essence, Amazon offers a total of $1.27 million over the 4-year period, with vesting following their specific schedule. Similarly, Google operates with a comparable structure. However, due to Google's more equitable vesting schedule, it does not put you at a disadvantage. The reason for the decreasing compensation at Google over the years is due to their anticipation of stock price growth by the time you receive the stock. This strategy aims to maintain relatively stable compensation when factoring in stock growth. Similarly, Amazon also expects stock growth, potentially resulting in compensation exceeding $1 million in the last 2 years. However, it's evident that Amazon is inclined to employ various tactics to encourage employee turnover within the initial 2 years of development. Getting fired or resigning. Based on statistics, both the average tenure at Google, 1.9 years, and Amazon, 1.84 years for tech workers fall short of the 2-year mark. Although there is not a significant difference in employee retention between the two companies, the discrepancy in compensation is substantial. With Google's monthly vesting system, an employee who departs at 1.9 years would have vested over 60% of their stock. On the other hand, an Amazon employee leaving at 1.84 years would not have even vested their year 2 stock, as they must complete the full year. Consequently, they would be left with only the 5% that vested after the first year. To put it simply, despite the enticing 1.27 million stock grant offered by Amazon upon joining, the average employee will ultimately receive a meager 63% from this grant. In contrast, the average Google employee would receive $571,000 worth of their stock compensation. When annualizing these numbers along with the base salary and bonus, it becomes evident that the effective salary for a Google employee amounts to $611,000, while an Amazon employee's effective salary is a mere $274,000, less than half of what the initial compensation appeared to be. While both salaries are substantial, it's clear that Amazon's initial top-line number can be deceiving. It's worth mentioning that Amazon occasionally provides a larger cash bonus in the first year to compensate, but it has limitations and it isn't offered to everyone. Given this, you may ask, why not stay for 4 years to receive the full promised amount? The harsh reality is that remaining with Amazon for 4 years can be extremely challenging due to the presence of Performing Improvement Plans, or PIPs, also known as the acts within the company. Amazon rigorously implements these plans by ranking all employees annually and subsequently terminating the bottom 10%. Predictably, this policy disproportionately affects new hires and cultivates a highly toxic work environment. Consequently, team members are inclined to engage in backstabbing behaviors to avoid being targeted for a performance improvement plan. This intense competition arises from everyone's desire to survive the 2-year threshold and finally access the tantalizing stock compensation that remains just out of reach. In reality, most employees do not surpass the 2-year mark. Amazon's intentions remain for you to eventually depart. If you manage to survive the initial 4 years, it's unlikely that they will place you on a performance improvement plan to force you out. Instead, they will drastically reduce your compensation and anticipate that you either choose to leave or continue working for significantly lower pay. Both options are acceptable for Amazon as they employ specific tactics to achieve this outcome. Regarding the reduction in compensation, the massive stock grant offered upon joining will not be repeated. While there is a possibility of receiving stock refreshers, they are typically significantly smaller compared to the compensation received in the 3rd and 4th years. Despite this significant drop, you are expected to maintain the same level of performance to avoid being subjected to performance improvement plans, or PIPs. However, at this stage, many remaining Amazon employees are unwilling to tolerate these conditions any longer. Thus, if the PIPs did not drive them away, the diminished pay often becomes the tipping point. A turning tide? Despite the evident unfairness at Amazon,